we're going to go over the 3 pillars. I'm going to give you some examples of what that looks like, and then I'm going to share with you how we can go deeper. So, pillar number 1, you've heard know, like, and trust, right? So those really are the pillars, because that is what makes people buy. So if we know that know, like, and trust are present, then how do we magnify that? How do we shorten the curve on that? How do we collapse time around that, so that if it would typically take someone, say, 12 months to feel complete enough in that know, like, and trust formula to step in, how can we do that? What are some key things that we can do to position ourselves differently to attract clients way more easily? Now, I actually don't mind marketing. In fact, I enjoy marketing, because I know that marketing is just about educating the marketplace. And I want people to know how my business can answer their prayers. But not everyone's in that mindset, right? Some people feel very heavy around marketing. And this is part of, well, it really actually engages all 3, right? Know, like, and trust. So the sooner we can make peace with marketing and find things that work for us, the quicker we're going to feel aligned in our business. And additionally, if you've ever been marketed by someone who doesn't really enjoy it, you can feel that energy, right? Just as if someone comes into your inbox and they're in the energy of, I don't want to bother you, you can actually feel bothered, not because they're bothering you, but because you can feel the energy of being a bother. And then that ends up what bothers you. So with the know, like, and trust factor, marketing, we need to get into right relationship with marketing, because if people don't know you exist and they don't know how you can help them, it's going to be really challenging to run a business. Now, you might be doing that through ads. Most people don't really have the money for that, and most people don't know how to write copy in such a way that their ads convert really well. Some people do, and if you're one of them, truly high five to you, because most people don't know how to do that. But that's also, it can be a huge cost. And whether we're spending time or whether we're spending money, we need to spend something in order to get our message out there. So what are the most efficient ways to build know, like, and trust, so that you can, be converting a lot quicker? So this, well, I don't know if it's going to happen this month actually, but my PR team is working on some really cool PR. And I can't talk about all of it because, these are big platforms. But what I can say is that these are platforms that have like 130 million views a month, and some of them have like 100 million viewers, depending on the platform. So these are big platforms. I can confirm that we have a mail or an article coming out with Mail Online, which I didn't even know what that was until she told me that it's like the most read newspaper in the world. I didn't even know. But they specifically wanted to interview someone that does Akashic Records, and of course, I just happened to be that person, right? All of that to say that you can see how me leveraging my expertise on other people's platforms that have already been built at no cost to me, they've already spent time, money, and energy building those platforms. I just need to plunk myself on there and be showcased. I'm doing the journalists a favor, right, by helping them create content to fill the advertising space, right? Because without stories, all that a newspaper is, or all that a whatever is just ads, and nobody's signing up just to be advertised to, right? So they need that. And that's a little just side note for you. Like, don't worry about pitching. They actually need your story. It's just about how to study how to pitch people. So in any event, and not everyone's going to have media. That just has, I learned in the beginning of my business about 17 years ago that I needed to borrow other people's stages, other people's platforms, because they were extending their know, like, and trust to me, right? So they'd already earned it. They were extending it to me to put me in front of their audiences. So that already shortened the gap. It might have taken 12 months for those people to decide that I was worthy of doing a Reiki treatment on them or whatever was going on at that time. But it only took them, well, that night, usually I would have almost the whole class come to me at the end of the night if I was working at a college or the Learning Annex or places like that where they already had a catalog and they were advertising adult classes, and my name and my contact information was there. So I borrowed other people's stages, not even so much because I wanted to be on stage, because I actually didn't. I can be in the spotlight, but I'm also a big hermit. So I'm happy to also just stay at home and hide behind my computer as well. So if you can relate to that, give me a nod down below, because I'd love to hear that I'm not the only person that likes that. But it's actually way more efficient, right? So when I speak on other people's stages, I get to collapse that and I get to speed up the know, like, and trust. And so I tend to get business very quickly when I go on other stages. Now, examples of that would be this right now. I'm basically hosting my own stage. Like, I've created my own stage here. Facebook is lending it to me essentially, right? But this, for all intents and purposes, is my stage I've created. And there's a benefit to that. There's a benefit to having your own stage. Most of you know I have 2 different podcasts. The Great Awakening podcast, which is for people who are already awake and wanting to really live the 5D timeline and beyond with a great amount of ease. And then I have the 7-Figure Club podcast, which, you know, is how to get to 7 figures and beyond. So I have those. So these are where I've created my own stages, and I invite you to come to my stage essentially and listen in, and I invite other guests to come and contribute to the stage. But there's something really powerful about being on someone else's stage and being on the right stages. So I don't really say yes to a lot of summits, but you'll see me, the ones that you see me promoting this year, I've really done my due diligence. They're with people that are really aligned, and they're doing big work in the world. So that's an example of me borrowing someone else's stage. In fact, it's really more of a collaboration, right? We're all bringing our audiences together and then putting on one big, virtual conference essentially, and borrowing each other's know, like, and trust is essentially what's happening. But this can also be true with you going on podcasts. This can be true with you going on radio shows, and so on and so on. But it's really one of the quickest ways to collapse that timeline so that you're really attracting clients way more quickly. So that is one. And then strategic partnerships. And that is a variation of strategic partnerships. But what I'm talking about is something as simple as me saying, hey, why don't I send your freebie to my list? I really like what you're doing, and I think my list would really enjoy it. And why don't we do a swap? And why don't you send my thing out to your list that you think your list would really enjoy? And let's just cross-pollinate. In some cases, it can be that you're actually putting on a paid event. And there's pros and cons to that, right? Like, you can definitely reach a lot of people, and you have to have your money story really tight. It's very rare that I hear that those partnerships last for a really long time, because usually they don't ask the right questions up front. And those are things like, what's your work style? Getting really clear on where money's going and where it's not, and who's responsible for what, and what the metrics are to demonstrate, right, that you've done your piece and done your part. And what are we going to do if this happens? What are we going to do if someone asks for a refund? What are we going to do if someone publicly shames us on social media? All of the things. You have to have a lot of conversations in order for those paid joint ventures to work. They can work for sure, but you really want to be vetting your partner. You can like people and you can think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it doesn't mean that they're good to partner with, right? And you find that out really quickly, and there's nothing that will mess up a friendship quicker than money, even when you've had really healthy conversations. So just a little word to the wise around that. But there's a lot of ways that, you can host each other in each other's groups and interview each other. You can have people on your podcast. You can do all those kind of things. But anywhere that you can borrow someone else's audience where they've already accumulated know, like, and trust, right? Or they've already built that. So with know, like, and trust, that really is the thing. Like, are you going out of your way to build a reputation as someone that takes care of your people? Are you going out of your way to build a reputation as someone who honors their word and delivers value? Because that actually is the easiest. That's the easiest way to not only get invited back to certain stages, but have your name come up without you even knowing it. And then the other piece is having those success stories, which some people are really hesitant to ask about. There are so many people that have reached out to me over the years that have said, I reached out to you because I read so-and-so's testimonial on your site. I saw myself in them, and I was already sold on you, but I needed a little bit more, right? I was just a little nervous. And then when I read so-and-so's story, it helped me to step in and receive the support I needed. That is amazing. When I ask people to share their success stories, or when people share them with me unsolicited, I already know that that's a contribution to the person that's coming behind them. I never hesitate asking for testimonials. Ever, ever, ever. Because I know that it's not about me. I know it's actually about helping the next person that wants to step into something. And a successful CEO will always ask for referrals, and they'll always ask for testimonials. They literally will build it in at least once a month. And if that's making you feel like you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit, then I would say that this is your growth edge. I would say that this is the aspect of what I've shared today that you need to amplify.